Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar on Beyond Channels, Unleashing Content Freedom to Omnichannel Marketing. Today, we're going to talk about insights into omnichannel marketing and content, how we can use data and insights for content personalization, and what strategies and tools are effective for channel conflicts. We have an excellent panel of experts with us today, and our speakers are Francois Delas, Chief Customer Experience Officer, Viseven. JF has 20 years of international experience in commercial model transformation with a specific expertise in multi-channel and digital technologies to drive customer experience and outcomes. Proven track records to senior roles both in consulting and industry. Through his career, has led end-to-end global digital transformation, including designing global approach to multi-channel marketing, focusing on patient and customer experience. Our next speaker is Aurélie Rognon, Global Customer Experience Director at Ipsen. She is experienced leader in marketing, commercial, and digital transformation, demonstrated history of working in the pharmaceutical industry, and passionate by customer centricity, skilled in omnichannel, digital strategy management, and many, many more. And our last but not least, of course, our speaker is Pavlo Klymenko, Head of Omnichannel Multichannel Excellence, Viseven. 22 plus years of experience in digital marketing from industry and agency sides, 30 plus successful omnichannel projects for global pharma and life science, and experience with all top software for marketing automation in pharma. And I am Anna Zolotnytska, Head of PR at Viseven, and I'm happy to be your moderator today. And I will be guiding us through our discussion and ensuring that your questions are addressed. Here's a quick look at our agenda. We will explore how omnichannel marketing integrates with overall business strategies in the pharma and life science industry, discuss how data and insights have content personalization and distribution, and strategies for integrating digital and traditional channels to deliver experience. And in the end, of course, we would have a Q&A session, so please feel free to submit all your questions at any time using our chat. And let's move on to section 1, strategic insights into omnichannel marketing. Aurélie, my first question to you. Please, what is it omnichannel marketing has the potential to transform businesses' strategies? How does it integrate with the overall business strategy in the pharma and life science industries?
Good question. Thank you, Anna. I can answer this question for sure, but perhaps not for the overall pharma industry, but much more for Ipsen, because it is what I'm knowing the most. So my vision there is for sure that we need to have a full integration with the overall brand planning process, so from global to local. My vision is that it should not be only for marketing, because you mentioned omnichannel marketing, but it should also include, medical, market access, communications teams. In fact, all the teams that are within the brand's team working around the brand. So it's a vision. Today, the reality, at least at Ipsen, is a little bit different for now, as I think it is a journey and we are in the middle of the journey. So today, Global Brands team provide guidance on brand priorities, key strategical objectives, ideally some of them including also customer experience objective. So it's already there. For the most advanced team at global level, they are also providing steers on segmentation personas, as well on adoption ladder, customer behavioral mapping, which is a more advanced step within the customer understanding, as well as some story narratives, including communication objectives. And in the future, ideally, they should also propose some not only strategic thinking, but also some key omnichannel customer experience engagement initiatives and or campaigns through Canvas, in order to really showcase how all come together to local teams, and therefore from there the local teams will be able to adapt and implement on top, of course, of their local activities plan, these global campaigns. And it will for sure, I think, help the local teams to move from a perhaps multi-channel approach to a more omni-channel approach, considering really the customer in the middle of all what they are doing in terms of content and channel choice.
Thank you, Aurélie, for these insights. Building on that, JF, every strategy faces a set of challenges. What are the challenges and crucial success factors for implementing an effective omnichannel customer experience strategy at scale?
Thank you, Anna. And it's great to follow on from what Aurélie you shared, because it's very much the journey which she described, that historically, in fact, as already explained, most of the global team in the life science industry focusing on this your guidance, priorities, messages, your storytelling. But in order to enable deployment at scale, you really need, as already explained, to go further and to provide like a canvas for your for campaign. How can you build on the story narrative and provide guidance in terms of which activities should you consider, which content could you reuse, but also helping the team in terms of to understand what success look like. How will we know that we are successful in engaging our customers, and then give this to local teams for them to be able to localize based on the specific needs and archetypes of the market. But in doing this, also it's very important to to work in a collaborative way. When Global would provide this guidance, how can you co-create this guidance with your key market, so that you have a base which is meeting 80% of the common need? How also in a way you're going to piece together this canvas? You can also do it in a very flexible way, so that your market will have the freedom to adapt it, again, based on a needs. This is very important. How also in a way you're going to put it together. In fact, it mustn't be a dream. It needs to be reflecting existing good practice which market have, which we do know work. So how can you capitalize on this and embed this good practice in your canvas, becoming a best of breed? And then in terms of helping the local team, again, give them some base to work from, give them the base of content to reuse, give them some corporate tools and solutions which they can reuse, obviously effectively for them. Do this in a very agile way, so not taking ages for you to pass this on to a local team, and also make it easy for countries to do this, because this has a change. Very likely, in fact, at least at the beginning, you will need to give a helping hand to the market to get them on this your journey, which already described.
Yeah, by the way, Jeff, do you see that this kind of challenges is changed last like decades or so on compared to what it was like 10 years ago?
I think it does. So what you see more or less this journey, your many pharma moving in this direction of indeed moving from this initial guidance, as already said, to providing your campaign, your packages that then you deploy at scale and effectively. So I guess the industry is clearly on the journey.
Okay, thank you.
JF, thank you so much. I think it's great points. Addressing this challenge is crucial for success, and I can't agree more. But now let's talk about data, because we can't talk, of course, without data. Pavlo, how can organization leverage data and analytics to optimize their omnichannel efforts?
Yep, Anna, thank you for the question. Of course, when you are talking about any kind of data-driven approach, at the core of essence of everything is data. And you need to have this data, first of all, and you need to properly work with the data. So the first questions that you need to answer is, what kind of data do you have? And you need to try to work with all these core pieces of this data, core groups of this data. So first of all, it's of course about the HCPs or other patients, pharmacists data itself, all the specialty, geography, everything that we know about the HCPs, how we can leverage it to build segmentation, for analysis, how we using within the campaign this data for personalization, for all this kind of stuff. Second second group of the data that we need to take a closer look and to work effectively with is this behavioral data. What actually our audience is doing, how they engaging with our content, with our activities, are they engaging at all or no? Like what is there? We can create not only segments based on the HCP data, but also segments based on their actions, based on this performance, to distinguish these low engaged subsegments, mid engaged, highly engaged, dormant users. How you actually will work, you need to have separate this strategy and tactics, how you will try to a little bit like re-engage those who is like dormant, not opening, not clicking, not registering, not doing anything. And of course, when you are operating with omnichannel, you need to group all this activity within the campaign. So you need to really build this mid layer with the campaign level data, not only separate activities, separate email, separate visit, and so on, to group this data under the campaign. And this mid level will serve you also as a bridge between the this low like metrics specific to each channel and between the high level strategic goals of each company, like prescription, sales, boost share of voice, and so on. So by analyzing campaigns, you can try to leverage how it analyzes this leverage on the high level data. And of course, when you're thinking about the performance of how effectively it is, you are thinking in two main directions. So first of all, how this data can help you with boosting performance of your campaign, of your activities, with all this personalization, deeper segmentation, and so on, and how it can help you to optimize the cost of your activities. No one wants to pay more than it's necessary, and optimize time to market with all this use, reuse, global to local approach, proper, how much time it takes, how much money it takes, and so on. And in some really higher level, when you done everything that I mentioned, you can try to implement all this fancy AI and machine learning algorithms.
I agree with you that insights of data is a key to do all the content, and understanding how applying data effectively could be a game changer. And Aurélie, I know that you have a practical example that you want to share with us. Could you present the global campaign case and how we can use it in a practice?
Yes, for sure. And it will just make perhaps a conclusion of this section of the three topics that we just discussed. So that's a great thing, Anna. Do you have the slide? I will make the context. So basically, just to set up the scene, within Ipsen, yes, we decided to make a pilot to develop a new way of making global campaigns. So the traditional way of making, a campaign is, I think, what you are seeing in all your daily life. So we are completely at the global level relying on an agency, using and asking them to develop fixed image, PDF, or whatever. It costs a lot, generally speaking. It's not always really including the story narrative mentioned by Jean-Francois, which is so important because it's really how you are going to tell your story. And there is, generally speaking, so at least at Ipsen, we don't necessarily see a lot of guidance regarding the KPIs, measurement, monitoring, tracking, and so on. So the result of this is that we have now generally few markets only really using what is developed at a global level, and a lack of leveraging standards on all the best practice, key learnings that we are collecting alongside the journey of OCE. So we decided to just change this and try a new way of creating, but also thinking the campaign and creating it and developing it, of course, at the global level with Somatulin. So what we've did is that we tried to work with more in a more flexible way with agencies, so not working with one agency, but with diverse agencies that are really specialized alongside the journey, and to ensure that above all that we are developing content which is going to be really adaptable, so through content component. It's also enable us to have less budget, therefore, versus having fixed image, and it's because it's a platform that we can use for self-service and enabling the after all we use the content with definitely less cost. The objective is to be compelling regarding what we want to and the people that we want to target in order with the desired behaviors that we have identified. Another big thinking was, okay, instead of just delivering some fixed asset, let's really think about the canvas. And it was, I think, mentioned by Jean-François. It was to say, okay, let's develop really an OCE campaign journey flow at a global level. So it's an inspiration, it's a template, it's a proposition, including not only the touch points, but also the survey that we would like to add, the call to action, so directly to the countries in order to, yes, inspire them and let them, after a while, adapt it if needed. And last but not least, it was also providing guidance around KPIs, consistency, and less resource needed to ensure also that the standard and best practice are really level.
I think it's just like a little bit problems with the internet connection. Sometimes it happens. I feel that we have too much of valuable information that even our internet are crashing. It's absolutely understandable. Just a reminder, guys, that you will have all the information on demand also after our webinar, so you would have more information. Aurélie, I think that we can share your case study if you want to continue after the second section, if it would be okay for your internet connection, because everyone would hear you. Yes, I think we can move on to the next section. Anyway, it was a great case study. I think that like you can check presentation slides now. And also to see how it's going, we will back to it a bit later in the end of the second session. And I think we can move to our section number 2, advanced content management. I think it's just like a little bit of problems, but I think we can move and start with the first question. So we are moving to content management and advanced content management. My question was for Aurélie actually about data insights, about enhanced content personalization and distribution in omnichannel marketing, but I'm sure that our speakers would help in these questions and can contribute to it. Pavlo, JF, do you have any insights about it?
Jeff, yeah, go on.
Yes, can you just... Oh, you start, Pavlo, and then I'll just I'll go
okay.
afterwards.
Okay, so about the data insights and personalization, of course, the first things that I mentioned previously is that we need to we need to have data. So because when you are talking about personalization, it will not come from nowhere in sense of that you base it on something. You need to base on this user attributes, performance that they have within the campaign, and based on which you will try to personalize. You can try to personalize first of all content, but not only the content. You can go with time, you can go with the presentation of the channel, you can go with the presentation of the some frequency of the message that you are sending. And of course, first of all, we are concentrating on the content. And within this personalization, there are couple of core stuff. The first of all is that we need to understand why we are doing this. Everyone is talking about personalization, but the core is in each and every case is it gives us ability to break through the noise, because the HCP or any kind of other pharmacist patient will understand that yes, it's about me, it's about my needs, it's relevant to me, it's useful information, it gives me the value. When they feeling that it gives them the value, that can distinguish your message out of other messages that they're receiving. And you can imagine how many emails typical each and every HCP, for example, receiving when he opens the inbox from not only from pharma companies, but from many other companies. They're human beings and receiving a lot of communication from e-commerce, yeah, from theater, anything else. So any kind of this stuff. And the next stuff that you need also to take into account that you can personalize it to some reasonable level. Reasonable in sense of we are like good to create in ideal world personalized message for each user at the level of each user, have the separate asset or a separate at least module for them, but how much it will cost for us. So we need to be wise here that our investment in this additional content asset and pieces and modules will be returned as the additional engagement level and this engagement level incremental will worsen this additional cost that we will pay for this content. Because if we'll try to create this content for everybody, it will be thousands and thousands of additional content pieces that we need to produce.
JF, and what is your take about it?
Yeah, just bouncing on what Pavlo, you said in terms of your value that we need to provide. Yes, fully agree. And also the way you look at this is three different ways. So you typically just your pharma companies are still looking at the customers from a potential point of view on the adoption ladder. So this is obviously very important, because depending on where you are, if you are at the beginning of the stage where you need to get more knowledge, or more at the end of the ladder where you need to get more your advocacy and deep expertise, then the value will be obviously different. And this is one way that you need to personalize. The other one also is in terms of the affinity for specific topics. So even for the same theme, depending if I'm just patient-centric, or if I'm more economic-minded or scientifically driven, my interest will be slightly different. So that's also an element which you need to take into account, how for the same communication objective, you might want to tailor the way you will talk about it, the angle you will put to engage your customers. And I guess the final one which we need to consider is in terms of the way we interact. So which channels are we going to use? So here, in fact, we're talking about classic preferences and needs of your customers in terms of ways of interaction and consuming the data and content.
Thank you so much.
It's a big topic, and I guess that we can talk for hours about personalization.
It's absolutely
Sure.
it's so bad that we are limited with the time, but just like a bit of spoiler, if you want to reach Pavlo, if you want to reach JF, if you want to reach Aurélie, you will have a contact details in the end of our presentation, so you can have a proper talk with our experts. And Pavlo, can you just let us know how can businesses ensure content quality and regulatory compliance while maintaining flexibility and adaptivity in omnichannel marketing efforts?
Yeah, sure. Maybe it will seem a little bit controversial, but in this topic, we need to start from the end. So first of all, we're working in pharma. There is a lot of this legal regulation stuff and so on. And we need to think how we will solve this MLR question. In sense of not just the old-fashioned approach, but in sense of this flexible templates, in sense of modules, how we have this, what kind of separate process do we need to have in sense of approval when we combine it in many different ways of all these modules as a part of one asset, assembling this asset actually. So you can imagine if you're going too deep into personalization, there could be a lot of these variations, hundreds of these variations, and needs to be solved within this MLR process. You cannot just send anything with any kind of variation. Next, you need to figure out, to develop and to automate to some extent business rules based on which you will combine this content. So it should be meaningful. It should follow the brand guidelines, and so on. Next one, you will think about the analytics. Why you're combining these modules in this way? Not only because that you are thinking that it's better, you need to have the data. How this combination works, how that combination works, why this is better for me to assemble this way, and this one is not so bad. It's also related to this personalization questions that we just discussed. After that, when you solve all these core pieces, you need to have to build this holistic process from the very beginning till the very end. How it will look like when you just thinking about the content, having set in the goal, creating the content, assembling these modules, pushing to the MLR process, publishing to their destination platforms, analyzing it, all this from the very beginning. And adoption, change management. You need to teach everybody how to work with it, how to leverage it, to not scare them out because of this complexity, so many stuffs of this modules. Oh my God, I would like to run away from all of this kind of stuff. And once again, at the top of it, when you implement all of this kind of stuff, you can think how the AI can help you with it. Because when you just will start with AI and nothing more, of course, you can ChatGPT or any kind of other technology can generate you a lot of this content. But can you send it? Is it follows a branded guideline? Is it like approved? Is it really trustworthy to full extent? Yeah, so it's easy to plug and play this technology, but what to do next?
Pavlo, I fully agree with you, and I feel we have an amazing question, which is Aurélie. Welcome back. I want Aurélie and JF also answer it, and maybe even have a bit of talk about it. What are the innovative content strategies drive engagement across multiple channels in our industries?
Yeah, I can get started, in fact. And first, it's interesting to talk about what do we mean by innovation? I'll just refer to, I like what Pavlo said before. We talk about AI, that's fancy stuff. And it's true. So very often we are attracted by innovation because it's shining, because it's glittery. But why? We don't know. So to me, it's very important at first. Innovation about it's how can we be brilliant with the core things that we have, and how can we make the best of this? And talking in this context about your practice for content strategy means that surely look at this and in terms of making this valuable in a sense that it will meet your first your target customer engagement, your objective. And for this, for example, depending on if you want to build awareness versus if you want to educate somebody, you will use different type of content, different type of channels. Your education, for example, will not take your light engagement. It will take meaningful, repeated, deep interaction through education and meetings. And just maybe using emails for this would just not work. Versus if you want to spread the word around something, then yes, in this case, your email marketing, works wonders. So really think about how can you align your content to what you want to drive in terms of change with your customers. That's number one. Number two, and we talked about it before, it's how can you ensure that your content is aligned with what your customers value in terms of their preferences and needs. This is very important, and you'll get this through there are now so many insight on this. Your openly accessible insight, but anything also that you can get through voice of the customers type of research. And we know that what is and the beauty of digital also in this context of innovation is that we all know that HCPs are increasingly busy. So in fact, you need to help them just to be able to find the best way which is convenient to them to consume this information. And in this process, you make it concise and summary. Very often when you share scientific, your content is quite long, it's quite a lot of text and data. So how can you make this your summary? How can you make this snackable when you talk about your video so that you can consume it in a very easy way? Also, in terms of providing convenience for HCPs, think about also providing your HCPs different options. So here, in fact, we talk a lot about push and pull, where historically, in fact, we pushed a lot of the information to the HCPs via customer-facing teams, so via email, but also give them options to access the information in the way they want, where they want, such as, for example, having the same content on portals or website. We know that also in terms of content, what is very valuable is to get the voice of the trusted peers and experts. So user-generated content is something which is we need to consider. And the last one for me is, again, when we talk about content, do not limit yourself to what Pharma can provide. Do also think about this trusted professional network which provide valued unbranded information to your customers. So widen your spectrum.
I think that it's amazing take. I see that Aurélie just like nodding, so I think that she definitely have something to agree. And I will ask you to just like to share this part of the case study, because I feel so bad that we did not hear it first of all.
So sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I feel that this information should be seen. So please.
So I don't know where I stopped, but basically, what we aim to do at Ipsen is to do a pilot to really try a new way of, creating and thinking global campaigns in order, after I really, to ensure that the countries are going to take this campaign, use it, implement it locally, which is not the case necessarily of the classical way of working with the traditional campaign. And our aim was also, above all, to ensure that the country are going to be able to benefit from best practice and key learning from global teams for that new way of working, and also to provide really guidance in order to measure the performance and the impact on top of the classical, which that we are seeing in majority of countries when they are doing this kind of metrics measurement tracking. So basically what we have done with the pilot, next slide. So we decided to work on, can you move to the next slide? Yes. So we decided to work on somatulin, so which is a big brand at Ipsen. And it's a mature brand, right? So that means that we had in mind really to try with that mature brand to meet two objectives. So one was to reinforce the awareness and differentiation by leveraging the brand value proposition. And the second one was really to help the local teams to adopt an OCE approach mindset by showcasing how goods look like and by guiding them in that way. So what we've done is that we've proposed, and I think it was mentioned by Jean-François earlier on, a global package. So we proposed a global package to the countries really based on story narratives that was really in the middle of everything. And as you can see there, the objective was not only to provide, the classical content, but really to provide all the steps of the story narrative. So we provided really a sequence of messages in order to arrive to the objective to showcase really the value proposition through different key messages adapted to the target audience. We also ensure that we put in that story flow, because it's a flow, in fact, that we propose in that story flow, so all the touch points alongside that journey, beginning with the CAM and finishing with the CAM. We also embed in that journey call to actions in order to ensure that we will be able also to measure really the engagement and provide additional content to the HCP for which the snackable content that is in the email is not enough, and if they want to learn more or hear more about these specific topics. And we also ensured the countries to provide also a survey, so it was also part of a global campaign package, in order to measure the evolution of the perception before and after this campaign, because it's a kind of measurement that was, from our point of view, very important. And last but not least, we also offered different area of flexibilities. So that means that we explained to the countries that, of course, this is a proposition, but they can, for example, fine-tune and change and adapt the text and the content if needed. They can skip a step. So if they want to have 3 touch points instead of 4 touch points, it is feasible, as soon as the story is still, fitting and understandable. If they want to, for example, use another channel to add on, it was possible as well. So we really try to give guidance, but also to provide area of flexibility in order to ensure to get the most countries that will use it, and to ensure that when they will use it, it will be relevant regarding their context and local needs. Next slide, please. I mentioned the fact that it was, and it is important from my point of view, to also propose really KPIs, metrics guidance, in order to become much more mature in that journey. So part of the global package, we provide this kind of performance and impact monitoring. So across the market, we build some reporting, but also for each market that are part of this campaign, we build specific report in order to let them really identify the key metrics around the reach, the engagement, but also the customer impact through the survey, for example. And also we try to begin to integrate some business impact in order also to see the impact on the market share in some market when it was relevant, and or on the adoption ladder for the market who are following the adoption ladder.
Aurélie, thank you so much. And I'm just quickly following your case, and we are moving to section 3 about managing and resolving channel conflict. Just quickly gave us overview, what is the common causes of channel conflicts and in omnichannel approach for pharma?
I can answer this for sure. So my point of view there is that there is for sure the first one, biggest one certainly, is the silos functions. So we use sometimes to talk about omnichannel marketing, for example, approach instead of omnichannel customer experience. So Silos function is for sure because of channel conflicts. We need to work around the customers. And when I say we, it's really the brand team, as I mentioned at the beginning. So that means that everyone who is working in the brand team, whatever it is, the marketing, the commercial, the medical function, needs really to be there to talk together to ensure that we are moving in the same direction. Because at the end, what is important is to really put the customer in the middle of everything what we are doing. And for the customer, they don't care if it's a medical or a marketing or a commercial way speaking to them. They just need to hear about what this is relevant for them and for their patients. The second big, I think, cause of channel conflict is certainly also linked to the lack of consent. So when it comes to omnichannel, of course, it's digital and non-digital, but digital is important. And when we want to reach out to our target, our customer through email, SMS, WhatsApp, or so on, we need at the moment to have their consent. It's really important. It's no miss. And sometimes the consent collection is not necessarily strategized as it should be. It's not anticipated as it should be, or it is limited eventually to only the visited customer if ship is, while eventually we can have big opportunities and customers that are really important, even if they are not visited, because they don't want, for example, to receive a CAM visit. So it's really a big hurdle, I guess. Another one is the lack of knowledge in general in the organization on what is OCE, what we mean by that. For example, some people think that omnichannel is only digital. It's not the case. Others don't understand the importance of really focusing on the customer, because from my point of view, it's about having the customer, first of all, and to use the omnichannel to reach this customer behavior change that we are looking for. So a lot of, colleagues not necessarily get this, and therefore they don't understand the value of moving there. Last is perhaps certainly the lack of, I would say perhaps customer, journey planification. So we are seeing a lot of, strategic plan and so on, where we are focusing a lot on the strategy. For the execution, it's much more some activities that are here or there, but not necessarily a real link between all this activity alongside the year, around a story narrative that has been really determined for each specific key segment and so on. And this lack of planification across the different functions is also a big gap, I guess, in the organizations in general.
Really, thank you so much for your answer. I feel that JF now can talk about how can businesses seamlessly integrate digital and traditional channels to deliver the best experience.
Yeah, for sure. And this is, again, building on what Aurélie said in terms of omnichannel marketing, not just being the result of just marketing and or Salesforce. It's not seeing functions as silo, but it's very much meant to be like a cross-functional discipline, and everybody is part of your omnichannel. In this sense, in fact, the key is to understand the value also of digital in this context. How can digital can be seen as part of and not like separate or the enemy. And for this, in fact, we also need to recognize that the value of digital will be different depending on the context of your brand and the life cycle, where very often when you talk about a mature brand, or you would see just your digital maybe as a way to substitute some face-to-face your activities, where you can more focus and reallocate your face-to-face to just the more your top customers or top opportunities, versus when you talk about like a newer your brand or growth brand, in fact, very much the value, the complementary value of digital, in a sense of how can you augment and how could you truly reinforce your customer-facing activities, and at the same time, maybe in fact expanding the reach to some other maybe your lower value customers or some which are difficult to you to access. So again, this is the value play is very much important to articulate, but also to explain, because in order for all to work together, you need to understand what's in it for me. So you need to be able to convince people to explain the value through tangible example of what it does for you for me. And only once somebody, your team or sales or customer facing teams will understand this, then you will start to drive the real your change, and through empowerment of these your customer facing teams. So that's very important. Also, I guess to make this practical and livable, you need to make this you need to get the means to do this, meaning that you need to get the means in terms of data, you need to get them the means in terms of tools to be able to execute. Otherwise, if you create any complexity, you raise your barriers to adoption. And my last point, in fact, is this obviously is a change, even if we've been talking about omnichannel for a long time in the industry, it's a change. So move step by step and with wisdom in terms of first work with the more ready, the more ambassadors, and then expand to this and use your ambassadors as role models for the rest of your organization.
Amazing. I think that it's very interesting to discuss, and I even feel bad that we are moving to last question, but I'm so happy to see that we have so many questions from the audience. So I'm really excited to discuss them later. Pavlo, let's talk about strategies, because I know that what is the strategies and tools we actually need to use for effectiveness. Everyone wants to talk about it. Just share with us more, and also please share your case study, how we can, where you will share the insights and resolving channel conflicts. And I think that it would be interesting for audience, and I feel it will be even more question afterward.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Anna, for the question. So like continuing there's all these lines that Aurélie and Jeff here started. Of course, there is always some gaps between different channels, between different functions. In particular, for example, one of the biggest gap in all pharma companies is this gap between digital and field force, like more like traditional, old-fashioned way channels and the more modern way to communicate using the digital capabilities and digital channels. And just it's a question who is doing what within this gap, how the different pharma companies trying to close this gap. And as always, first of all, we can talk in this sense about the data. So we need to have this integration between different systems. In particular, for example, we need to have this integration bidirectionally between CRM platform and market automation platform, and the data should go back and forth. So it should give the visibility what is going on with digital to field force. So they can go, for example, into the HCP timeline in CRM and see all the touch points, not only that were conducted by the field force, face-to-face visits, approved emails, CLM presentation, but also what was conducted with the market automation tool, in which webinars they participated, what kind of broadcast emails they are engaged, and so on, and vice versa. When we're building the journeys, building the segments, planning all this kind of stuff and executing in market automation platforms like Salesforce Marketing Cloud, Adobe Campaign, Oracle, Eloqua, you name it, different kind of platforms, we need also to have this visibility, what is going on in with the field force, what is going on with this kind of visits. And when we build this as a basement, we need to have the joint planning process. So not just like they are separately planning the face-to-face visits, separate activities for medical marketing, and separate activities that is MC leads or digital leads is responsible for. So all this planning should be unified. All core functions, core teams should have this visibility, what is going on. And just like, even if they are responsible for their part, they need to see the bigger picture, take into account and build plans with accordance with the overall bigger of this picture, overall plans for the whole campaign. And of course, as usual, change management, implementing these changes, teaching everybody how to use it properly. And the last one, but I think it's the most important one, no one will be there like with one iteration. You need to implement it in practice, and you need to learn by doing. Each time you're moving better and better. So just start with some small steps, implement just one stuff, joining session or one Excel file where everybody sees like and can plan these campaigns. And after that, move forward. take a next step, transform into more advanced setup, change more data, plan more holistically, align more oftenly, and so on. And we can go like with the case here, I suppose, that will illustrate a little bit.
Exactly, Pavlo. Thank you so much for the answer. Let's go to the case.
Yeah, so in this case, we can try to illustrate you in practice how it works, actually, especially how to close this gap to some extent between this digital and field force. So in this case was for Italy, but actually it was not only for Italy, but in this particular case, we're talking about Italy. But just overall timeline for this campaign was 4 months for one of the top 50 pharma company. So in a couple of words, overall idea was really to encourage HCPs to record some small video, like actually to tell the patient story within the given needed therapeutic area that the company operates, and to upload this video, upload the story into a special server, and after that, like best video will be presented on the conference. It was like hybrid conference, online and offline format at the same time. So like the core goal, how to encourage HCPs to do this. On the next slide, you can see what actually we have done to accomplish this. So first of all, we create the journey in market automation platform. It was Salesforce Marketing Cloud that consists with 4 email that actually like describe all this kind of stuff. Once again, telling how to record this video, how to upload, what it's all about, what will be the benefits for the HCPs. But we created the journey in the market automation platform, but whom to enroll, when to enroll at all, this particular HCP or that HCP, it was fully on the medical representative side, on the field force. So there was a connection, integration between CRM platform and market automation solution. So in each time on the face-to-face visits, field force representative, medical representative can, in a couple of words, describe the initiative for the HCP and ask, is it interested or not? If he is or she is interested, he's triggering the journey for this particular HCPs, and the HCP receives the chain of the communication about this that encourage them actually to record this video and upload it to the server. And after that, going back to the thoughts that I'm explained previously, that we need to have this bidirectional data change. If the data is about this engagement and about did actually this particular HCP upload this video or not, constantly synchronized to CRM platform. So how it's working, the medical representative periodically checking the timeline and see the statuses. Did he open his email? Did he upload the video or not? And if he sees that there's no engagement, on the next meeting he could ask, he could try to re-engage the HCP, try to actually to find the cause why they don't want to do it. Maybe there is some kind of something is not clear for them how to do that, and actually how it works. On the next slide, you can see actually the results of all this activity. So overall, we engaged, enrolled this, tried to engage about a little bit less than 1,000 HCPs to this initiative. So almost all of them, a little bit less that this number is actually received the message. So no bounces, email was properly delivered. And out of them, 147 actually record the video and uploaded just from this journey. And we additionally calculate how many of them upload the video after. So not initially they did not do this after they just receiving the email, but their field force manager saw this inactivity and during the next meeting tried to encourage them to do this. And we had this additional HCP who actually accomplished the task and uploads the video And this video was like 10 of best of them was presented on the Congress.
I feel it was amazing discussion, and I'm thank you to all speakers for those insightful discussion. Let us have just like a quick, unfortunately quick Q&A session, but I still see that like so many interesting questions. Please don't hesitate to reach our speakers. But now we will answer to some of the questions. If your question is not answered, please reach to us. So I feel that we start with Aurélie because it's such an interesting question. I think you saw it on our chat, but do you provide flexibility to your markets to run their own local campaigns too, or they just can run and adopt global ones locally? I know that it's a big question about global to local, so it's extremely interesting.
So we are offering really flexibilities to local markets. And for now, to be totally honest, as I said, it is a pilot. So I can say that we have a lot of global canvas campaign, as I shared with you. My aim is to develop this when it is relevant, because it's not always the case. So we have set up a list of questions to the global team to help them to define if it is relevant or not. But of course, we are still letting the local teams managing their own activity, using and adapting the global campaigns when it is relevant for them. And we are really trying to encourage them to do it when it will be done. But they have always the flexibility to create their own local campaigns. And eventually also, my aim is to enable them to share on a regular basis what they have done with other markets, to also eventually let other markets take inspiration, replicate some campaigns, and reuse them also locally.
Agree. And if I could just add shortly on what Aurélie said. So yes, flexibility is absolutely your key if you want to have the buy-in from market, but even to complement what Aurélie said is even part of a global package, give enough flexibility so that you can almost piece and mix as you want. So you might want to take the element of the global campaign which suits your need and complement it with your local one that would only be for your countries only. So yes, indeed, this flexibility is very important.
Thank you so much. And
yes, and just to complement, it is very important because concretely you can have some markets who have field force, others don't have field force. Some have already used a channel and others don't have used, for example, social media and so on. So you need to offer them the possibility to really adapt and to not be blocked because they don't have this or that.
Yeah, and the last one, I guess, from again referring to what Aurélie said at the beginning in terms of the story narrative, this is one of the most important elements to understand even in a global package, because it tells you the why, what do you want to do with your target customers, and once you understood the why, and then you're empowered to do it in a different way to suit a need. Like you say, if you don't, if you don't have customer-facing teams, you can still implement it another way. But the why and the story narrative is key.
I think the next question is also very interesting, JF. I see that you answered, but I want to all the audience see it. The digital maturity of our markets is very different. Some of are enabled and can run global campaigns, but also their own local ones. Some other markets don't have in-house expertise. How do you suggest to handle this case? It's a very good question. Thank you so much. Who wants to answer?
But I guess, Anna, more or less, this is very similar to what we covered. I guess, yeah, a person asked the question to Aurélie and also to the wider your panel. So I believe the answer is what Aurélie, I guess, and I just discussed in terms of this providing this flexibility, and that yes, indeed, there's the global campaign is not the one version of the truth. There are many to that.
And how do you ensure your customer-facing teams, reps, MSLs are aware of the customer was exposed to interested in?
Well, I can start. So what was it?
Can you just repeat the question? Sorry, I didn't understand it.
How do you ensure your customer-facing teams, reps, MSLs are aware of that the customer was exposed to interested in?
I think Pav mentioned it in the last answer he did. So it's about having the proper IT ecosystem in place, ensuring that in the CRM, you have the data coming from other channel use. So he mentioned marketing automation, but it can be an event platform or whatever. So to ensure that they do have the visibility on what's happening in parallel of their own activity. So this one is really important, I guess. It's also to ensure that they are, of course, at the beginning, understanding what is OCE and what we want to achieve and why it is beneficial for their customer, for their companies, but also for them, because they can benefit from that. For example, when it's come to have some low value task, if they understand that, for example, an automated email can replace some web trigger emails that are taking them sometimes and where they don't necessarily have a lot of added value, they can more easily enter into the journey. So there are a lot of change management to come on top of some text that needs to be in place on some process in order to ensure that they are in this pathway, understand the value, understand the why, and also have the right tools available to make it happen locally. And after, it's also a question of showing them what good looks like. So if you have some great example from camps embedding some campaigns and enabling to leverage omnichannel or to benefit from this omnichannel campaign, for example, to have an appointment with an HCP, etc. It's to share this kind of story in order to, explain that it can happen and to inspire people in general, I guess.
Thank you so much. Unfortunately, we don't have a time to answer all the questions, but thank you everyone for joining us today. We hope you found the webinar informative and valuable. A special thanks to our speakers for sharing their expertise. Also, of course, you can ask us all the questions if you want. You have a contact details on your screen. And if you want to meet us in person, we also join Reuters Customer Engage in USA in October. So we will be happy meet in person. But till then, if you have any questions, you already know where you can find our speakers. And have a great day, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.